is 9 News.
Good morning. Denmark is this morning heralding in a new era with King Frederick X ascending to the throne. Alongside him, our first Australian-born Queen, the girl from Tassie, Mary Donaldson, taking over the crown. Tens of thousands of people braving freezing temperatures to witness the once-in-a-thousand-year event.
A wave from the palace balcony and a kiss. To cheers from tens of thousands of people below. King Frederick X and Mary, Tasmanian girl turned Danish princess, now officially a queen. There were no crowns. This was a scaled-back event in line with the relaxed style of Danish royalty. But the streets of Copenhagen were packed. Official proceedings began just after 1:30, Mary waving from the car on the way to Christiansborg Palace, along with Frederick and their son, 18-year-old Christian, the incoming heir. Shortly after, Queen of 52 years, deeply popular Margaret, was in her carriage and on her way. The formalities were simple. At a Council of State meeting inside Christiansborg, the outgoing Queen signed the Declaration of Abdication and the deed was done. Then, the moment crowds had been waiting for. Out on the balcony, a visibly emotional Frederick. The Prime Minister officially proclaiming him king. I take on this responsibility with respect, pride and great joy, he said. Then roars for Queen Mary. Polls show the Australian is more popular than her husband, an undeniable asset. A very public display of unity from the couple after an infidelity rumour recently made headlines. Their 4 children joining them outside. And again as they made an encore appearance. Australians among those cheering on the homegrown Queen.
Everyone here really likes Queen Mary and they're really excited for her.
One last wave back at home within Amalienborg Palace, the royal colours now transferred there, the final marker of a new era for Denmark, for Europe and for Australia.
Europe correspondent Brett McLeod is in Copenhagen. Brett, the historic day has just concluded with a spectacular fireworks display.
Yes, over the famous Tivoli Gardens, thousands of fireworks were set off. Unfortunately, a lot of cloud cover meant that many people couldn't see them, including here at Amalienborg. You could hear them, though, loud and clearly. So the final chapter in this very special day. And yesterday we were talking about how this is going to be a low-key event because there was no formal coronation. But those scenes were absolutely extraordinary. And Frederick in tears, his wife giving him a kiss, all very reminiscent of 20 years ago this year when they got married, with similar sorts of scenes. So winning hearts once again on a big day for Denmark, a big day for Australia. And now the couple are back home. If you can call your home a palace, that's what they've got. Brooke?
Must be nice. All right. Thanks, Brett. Well, more than 16,500 kilometres from Copenhagen, locals from Queen Mary's hometown marked the historic occasion. Hobart residents staying up into the early hours of this morning to catch the moment one of their own became Queen of Denmark. Madison Scott was among the local celebrations.
It was more intimate settings like this where many Australians watched on as our Princess Mary became Queen of Denmark. When the clock struck 12, eyes were glued to the screen as the change of throne took place. For Danish Aussies like Mia McShane, it just further cements the bond between our two nations.
It's really nice being a Dane in Tasmania because it's the one connection that people always ask you about, and it's really nice now to have that sort of finalisation of it. Even though I think Tasmanians have claimed to have a queen for a long time.
What's it like having a student of your own high school becoming queen of a country?
Oh, look, I think it means a lot to especially the Truna High School community. It would mean a lot to them, but also a warm embrace from all Tasmanians.
I thought it was a very memorable occasion, and I think Princess Mary is born to be a queen.
Meanwhile, the Tasman Bridge, along with other buildings around Hobart, were lit up red and white in honour of the new Queen, some braving the cold to capture the momentous occasion. We'll bring you more on the local celebrations throughout the day and tonight on 9 News at 6.
Isn't that lovely? Also making news this Monday morning, Sydney has been smashed by heavy rain overnight, keeping the SES busy. There were almost 50 calls for help for leaking roofs and trees down in the past 12 hours as severe rainfall continues to lash most parts of the city. Flash flooding is also impacting roads, with more rainfall expected for most of the week. A severe thunderstorm warning for parts of far north Queensland has been cancelled, but the Weather Bureau is warning the threat is not entirely gone. A monsoon trough could bring more heavy rain, impacting regions including Cairns and Cape York. A flood watch warning, however, remains in place. Now to the unfolding bushfire emergency in WA, where residents in Perth's north are being told it is too late to leave and to take shelter now. As we go to air, towns including Gin, Bindoon and Leonard Brooke are under an emergency warning, with authorities saying there's an immediate threat to lives and homes. So far, one home in Bindoon has been lost. A man suffering from multiple broken bones has been rescued after spending more than 24 hours trapped down a South Australian mine. The 47-year-old's wife reported him missing to Coober PD police on Friday before teams found him 25 metres down a shaft at the 9 Mile Opal Field. A 16-strong team carrying out the 3-hour operation to bring him to safety.
I was quite surprised, considering there was reports it was a 90-foot mine shaft. That's quite a long distance.
It's a very complex technical rescue process that involves multiple agencies.
The man was later taken to Royal Adelaide Hospital with a dislocated shoulder and fractured leg, while also understood to have been severely dehydrated and may have internal injuries. A man left to die on a street in Melbourne's northeast has been named as much-loved Dr. Ash Gordon. The 33-year-old GP and skin specialist was stabbed and hit by a car after he took on the group who robbed his unit in Doncaster. Shoes and laptops were among the items stolen. It remains unclear if the computers held any patient records. Foreign Minister Penny Wong is set to leave for Israel today on a high-stakes mission to help secure an end to the war in Gaza. This comes amid pressure on the federal government to treat extremist Israeli settlers akin to listed terrorist groups. Wong's visit to Israel is the first by an Australian foreign minister since 2016. Investigations into a plane crash that left 2 men dead in Queensland's scenic rim will continue today, with teams probing exactly what went wrong. Police say they were not aware of a mayday call being made prior to the incident occurring just metres from where people were playing golf in Dungardan. The pair on board were aged 69 and 82. 2 men have managed to walk away with minor injuries after a van flew through the front window of their Adelaide Hills home. Police say the vehicle hit an embankment before becoming airborne, landing centimetres from the homeowner, housemate and their dog. The 27-year-old driver was taken to hospital with minor injuries and for treatment and blood tests.
It's like a little ramp went, whoop. Yeah, a little bit scary. Might need to go see a psychiatrist and talk about it. I don't know. What do you say?
While the property isn't insured, the owner is hopeful his carpentry skills and support network will get him through. It's been 100 days since the outbreak of Israel's war in Gaza, and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned, quote, "Nobody will stop us from destroying Hamas." It comes as the British Foreign Minister David Cameron has defended the UK strikes on Houthi targets, saying they have been given warning after warning.
I mean, it's hard to think of a time when there's been so much danger and insecurity and instability in the world. The lights are absolutely flashing red, as it were, on the global dashboard. And taking action, if you don't act against the Houthis in the Red Sea, you're going to see more attacks. They are effectively terroristic attacks. You'll see more of that.
An estimated 120,000 people have gathered in Tel Aviv, marking 100 days of war and calling for the release of hostages still being held in Gaza. A volcano has erupted in southwestern Iceland for the second time in less than a month, putting residents of a nearby town under fresh risk. Let's go live to Europe correspondent Edward Godfrey for more. Edward, nearby residents have been evacuated.
They have, Brooke, and it's not the first time. This time their town was directly impacted. The footage of this eruption is simply extraordinary. Molten rock and lava bubbling and spewing into the air, flowing towards the southwest Icelandic town of Grindavik. As it moved in, 2 homes in the fishing village caught fire. At least one of them was destroyed, possibly others now as well. Fortunately, the town's 3,800 residents had been evacuated. They did the same in November before the first eruption, which occurred last month, where a 3-kilometre crack in the ground opened up. That followed weeks of earthquakes in the region. Grindavik village was spared on that occasion, and barriers were built afterwards as an added protective measure, but these have now been breached. Iceland's president has said no lives are in danger at the moment, although there had been a search, Brooke, for a man who fell down a crack last week trying to fill crevices. That search, sadly, had to be called off.
All right, thanks for the update, Edward. You are watching 9 News Early. Still to come this morning, more than 20 people saved at a popular Sydney beach. The stroke of luck is next. Plus, the secret tennis bailout, which cost taxpayers millions. And we are live to Copenhagen with a royal expert after the crowning of the new king and queen. Welcome back to 9 News Early. If you are just joining us, these are the top stories from the 9 Newsroom this Monday. Sydney has been smashed with a storm overnight, leaving trees down and causing flash flooding. Residents in Perth's north are being told it is too late to leave and to take shelter now as an emergency level bushfire continues to burn. And Denmark has welcomed King Frederick X and our very own Queen Mary in Copenhagen. For more on the historic succession, we are joined now by historian and royal house expert Sebastian Olden. Sebastian, thanks so much for your time. How significant and special is today for not only Denmark but for the world?
It is a special occasion, first and foremost for us in Denmark, because it's 52 years since last time, and it's a novelty, this abdication with a proclamation. All the other times, the old king died, and the occasion was a mixture of sorrow and joy. But this is unadulterated joy, because we still have the old queen, and now we have this, as you see, a beautiful couple, maybe not young, but in the prime of their years.
Well, we are very proud here in Australia. How much do Danish people love our Mary?
They love her very much. She has been very professional in every sense of the word. She has learned Danish quickly. She speaks it fluently. She has reinvented the social side of monarchy with her efforts to combat bullying at school, isolation, and domestic violence. So, as a public figure, she is not only beautiful, but more or less perfect.
So what is first on the agenda for the new king and queen?
I think the first thing on the agenda is to travel, because Denmark is a small country, but there are also the Faroe Islands and there's Greenland. And this whole community is knit together, not least through the monarchy.
All right, thank you so much for being with us this morning, Sebastian Olden. Ironman and women athletes have helped with a mass rescue at Sydney's Maroubra Beach after more than 20 people got into trouble in the water. In a stroke of luck, the country's best surf lifesavers were on hand for the Nutrigrain series when they spotted a group of 25 tourists caught in a strong rip.
Yeah, we just had a massive rescue, and lucky all of us were here still. And
the rescue was just 24 hours after another group was saved at nearby Bronte Beach and taken to hospital. The 2024 Republican presidential contenders are this morning growing more concerned about the dangerously cold weather that will confront Iowans when they head to the polls tomorrow for caucus day. It comes as a highly anticipated poll has set the tone for a final full day of campaigning. Donald Trump has maintained a big lead, while Nikki Haley has overtaken Ron DeSantis for second place in the Republican presidential race.
I just want to thank you all. It's been an incredible period of time. I think it will be a tremendous vote tomorrow. The big thing, and I say it in every speech, don't sit home. Even if you think we're winning by a lot, it doesn't matter. You have to get out and vote. And we're really setting the table for November by doing that.
Still overseas, a war of words has erupted the day after Taiwan's presidential and parliamentary elections results. China has criticised the US for congratulating the winner. Beijing calling the message a violation of Washington's commitment to maintain only unofficial ties with Taiwan. It comes as an unofficial US delegation has arrived in Taiwan to hold talks with leading political figures. Over 16,000 drivers in Queensland have been hit with duplicate vehicle registration notices, forcing hundreds of thousands of dollars to be refunded. According to News Corp, 967 drivers had already paid the bills, which were sent out in error, with 95% of those automatically refunded by the end of November last year. It's estimated more than $500,000 will be refunded due to the error. In a sky-high stunt, billionaire Andrew Forrest has slammed Woodside's Scarborough gas project as a carbon dioxide bomb. The mining magnate flew over the Pilbara in an effort to expose the energy giant's seismic blasting. The 62-year-old saying the booms can prevent some whales from communicating with each other.
Projects like this are destroying our planet. Imagine the power of those noise impacts then going through the hearing membranes of mammals and fish, rare and endangered species.
Woodside has declined to comment on Andrew Forrest's stunt, telling 9 News seismic surveys have been safety used in the oil and gas industry for decades, and says it pauses testing if animals get too close to the detectors. Anger is building over the government's decision to dismantle and bury the retired fleet of MRH-90 Taipan helicopters instead of sending them to Ukraine. The troubled aircraft was decommissioned following a fatal crash that killed 4 ADF members late last year. It's understood the war-torn country officially requested the fleet on December 19, despite its known safety concerns. It's been revealed taxpayers in Victoria funded a secret bailout to Tennis Australia just months before record crowds flooded the 2023 Australian Open. The payment of up to $63 million was reportedly made to cover rising costs during the pandemic and followed the state government forgiving a previous $40 million loan. Tennis Australia then went on to post a record $62 million surplus. Electronic betting machines in Victorian gaming venues will soon become cashless after a 16-year-old was found to have been able to gamble at a string of pubs. The statewide direction comes after the teen gambled more than 30 times, could also see machines moved closer to the counter. Around 60% of Tabcorp's betting machines are outside the required 5-metre rule. Still to come this morning, all of the day's sports news. Novak Djokovic survives a serious scare to kickstart the Australian Open, pushed to the brink by an unlikely challenger. Steve Smith sings the praises of his replacement as Australia prepares to take on the West Indies. And Wellington survives a wet and wild scare to boost its title credentials. Sports news now. Novak Djokovic's Australian Open title defence has begun in dramatic fashion, holding off an 18-year-old qualifier in a first-round thriller. Dino Prismic pushing the 10-time champion to 4 sets, threatening an almighty boil-over. Nicole Dunn has the highlights.
On Grand Slam debut against the King of Melbourne Park, you can argue Dino Prismic had nothing to lose.
Oh, what a way to break!
You can argue Dino Prismic had nothing to lose, but he was only interested in winning. The 18-year-old's ferocious forehand dazzling Djokovic, stealing the second set off his idol.
Oh, goodness me, that's good.
The qualifier and defending champion going toe-to-toe, but Djokovic always finds a way, digging deep, prevailing in 4 sets.
There it is. The champion was tested.
With the clock approaching midnight, Aryna Sabalenka wasn't in the mood to wait, steamrolling Ella Seidel in under an hour to kickstart her title defence.
The champion, ruthless.
Nicole Dunn at 9 News.
Australian young gun Jason Kubler endured a rollercoaster first-round matchup, but outclassed in the crucial moments, eliminated by Colombian Daniel Galan in 5 sets. Chris O'Connell is the first Australian into the second round, winning through in 5 sets over Christian Garin. Steve Smith doesn't believe much will change in the middle order when he makes the switch to opener because he sees himself so much of himself in Australia's new number 4. Cameron Green will take the reins against the West Indies, and Smith has high praise for the 24-year-old.
I think he's suited to number 4. He plays there in Shield cricket. He does well there, and I think he's a bit like me in terms of I don't think he likes to wait too much, so you don't have to wait as long at 4 as you do at 6. So there's a good opportunity for him.
Green hasn't played in the Test team since being dropped during the Ashes last July. Adelaide Strikers are finals bound, pummelling Sydney Thunder by 9 wickets to seal their place in the top 4. The men in green couldn't generate any momentum with the bat. Destructive spells from spinner Lloyd Pope and Jamie Overton restricting the Thunder to 140. Strikers opener Matt Short made light work of that target, finishing 74 not out to help get Adelaide home with 23 balls to spare. A spirited performance from Perth Glory hasn't been able to tame Wellington Phoenix, rising back to the top of the table with a 4-3 win. With scores deadlocked at 3-3 deep into a rainy contest in Sydney, Costa Barbarosas once again put the Phoenix's fate on the toe of his boot, slotting the winning goal. Brisbane Roar snapped its 4-game losing streak, giving Ben Kahn his first win as head coach, defeating Newcastle Jets 3-2. Stay with us. The Today Show is coming right up after your weather details next. Taking a look at the weather for you now and around the country today. Brisbane showers at a top of 30 degrees. Sydney a high of 24 degrees.